A lot of developments have happened in our country of late, and the most recent is the fact that the new Naira note that has been a much talked about issue will be launched today by our President Muhammadu Buhari, and that is going to be later in the day. So Nigerians should expect to see the redesigning of that Naira. That is, the redesigned ones, are already available, and it will begin to circulate. So it is just a piece of information for you so that you spread the information and share it and educate and inform people on that development and tell them not to argue if they go for a shopping somewhere and a new Naira is given to them, because people have a way of not knowing things even when it has been widely publicized. So just so that one is going to happen today by our president, and we're looking forward to it as a media organization, and I can't just wait to see how that new Naira is going to look. I'm very sure it's going to be more beautiful and all that, but I just wish that beyond being beautiful, our policymakers, our leaders should do everything possible to make sure that our currency has value. It has to have value, and everything that should be done to ensure our money has value should be done, because what else can a country be proud of, than to have a currency that is valuable, a currency that you can take to the market and buy something, and you'll be proud that you really went to market with amount of money and all that. Not, the type that you go with huge amount of money and you come back home with a very small polythene bag, and then the money is finished and you are not even able to cover the items you went to buy in the market. So that happened. And of course, also in Gombe State, Gombe has now become an oil-producing state, and it has joined the League of States with oil production capacity. And of course, it was launched yesterday, or unveiled yesterday, by our president. So, which means that, of course, different states are looking into exploring the oil, exploiting the oil, and of course, earning revenue from oil. It's a very good thing, but then it also goes to show how we place emphasis on oil production and oil earnings and all that. And when issues like this, happen, Nigerians begin to ask questions as to if we are prepared as a nation to diversify our own economy, because everybody seems to be looking towards the direction of the oil and gas. And sometimes I ask myself this simple question: what if we never had oil? Would we not have been able to do other things as a country and survive? How many countries in the world don't have oil and they're doing very, very fantastically well? These are some of the questions that Nigerians ask when they have the opportunity to do so. So that also happened and all that. And of course, yesterday too, we are talking about education, how our education can be improved, how, value could be placed on education, how high premium could be placed on education for us to have the kind of outcome that we are supposed to have and compete with other nations. And of course, we've seen a lot of interventions by the House of Representatives of this country, led by Femi Bajabiamila. And yesterday, stakeholders from all walks of life, from within and outside the country, converged yesterday in Abuja, and they presented papers. People had speeches, people had rhetorics, and of course, recommendations were made and all that. And of course, all of them have very, very germane issues that they raised, and then they have very cogent recommendations they made, and thought that if followed, of course, the education of this country would improve, especially from the primary level to the secondary level. And a couple of times we've had an interface with the leadership of ASU on this program, and they fear that with the way things are going, if care is not taken, that the public education, the public tertiary education will also go the way of the public primary and secondary, which a lot of people believe that it has really, really dwindled to a point. If nothing is done, it will totally, be extinguished and all that. So, of course, that happened at the House of Reps. I don't know if the director can roll the video. And of course, able personalities in this country, including former President Olusegun Obasanjo, was in attendance, and he made some recommendations. But then beyond the recommendations and rhetorics, because I'm sure this is not the first time we've had leaders gather at different fora to discuss the way forward for our country. At the end of those discussions, what have been happening to implementation? Implementation that a lot of people believe that it has always been, where we hit at the brick wall. Very fantastic ideas, very, very fantastic and wonderful ideas from Nigerians. And of course, you can trust Nigerians when it comes to, creativity, when it comes to wisdom, when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to technical know-how, when it comes to having the solution of a particular problem in their own heart. But then, when the discussion is done and dusted, the country seems not to be following up on the possible implementation and all of that. So we ask the question, is the Education Summit that is ongoing in Abuja and pioneered by the House of Representatives going to be one of those discussions we've been having in this country, and which nothing has been done about after the meeting, irrespective of the millions and hundreds of millions that will be expended in holding such summits and all of that? We live in a country that students have been at home for 8 months. And last year we experienced the same thing. People were, students were at home for about 9 months or thereabouts, and they came back. It was not up to a year. There was another one and all of that. And even as we are talking, there is an ongoing national protest by the Academic Staff Union of Universities on the same issue of education. So what is actually going to be the way forward for our education? We have our lecturers, almost shedding tears. That is, I'm saying almost because I've not, been with any of them to see if they really, really shed tears. But I'm very sure that for somebody, to not earn salaries for 8 months and has been asked to compulsorily go back to school, and when it was time for salary to be paid, the government introduced the pro rata terminology and paid them half salaries and all of that. We tend to wonder if the education sector of this country is going to grow, by these actions that we take as a country. So many things. And of course, we really and sincerely hope, that the Education Summit that has been currently held by the House of Reps will mean well for Nigeria. We hope that the education sector of this country would begin to compete after this summit, because a lot of intellectuals are there, and of course they have made their own papers. But then how are we going to be sure that after these successive administrations we will come and say, okay, that was their own, that was the business of the last administration, forgetting the fact that governance is a continuum. I remember when the issue of petroleum industry bill was introduced by the 8th Assembly of this country, because of how important it was. Maybe it was because it was related to oil and gas. The 9th Assembly came and continued from where the 8th Assembly stopped on the PIB and got it implemented and signed into law by the president, though we seem to see little or nothing about that PIB. But then, action, commensurate action, so to speak, was discharged, and something was done swiftly, and it became a law today. So I don't know, because the administration, this current administration, is winding down in the next 4 or 5 months or thereabouts. It will be out of the way, and another person will come. We sincerely believe that whatever is going to be discussed and has already been discussed as the ongoing national summit in Abuja will be something that will form a template that the successive administrations will come and adopt. And if that happens, I'm sure that the education sector of this country will experience a drastic positive change, and we will all be happy for it as citizens of this country. So let's see how that one pans out as I take you through the video where the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, has actually spoken about the launch of the new Naira note today.
But the question that has been raised is that, are we going to shift the deadline? The answer remains no, capital no. We will not shift any deadline. What we have done is not against the law. It is in tandem with the law. We announced this program on October the 26th, 2022, and we said that upon release of the new currency, that the legal tender status will run concurrently with the old currency till 31st January 2023. That is almost 100 days. 100 days is enough for any person in any part of Nigeria to deposit his money in the bank and get ready to withdraw cash when the new notes are released. For information, indeed, we are no longer waiting till December 15th to unveil and begin to release the new notes. By the special grace of God, tomorrow, which is the 23rd of November, 2022, the President has graciously accepted to unveil the new currencies, and the new currencies will be unveiled tomorrow at the Federal Executive Chambers by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So you are invited to stay tuned and live.
That only those who desire get the loan. Now all children should not go to university and be asking for loan. Then, as he said, I believe that, and that's what I come to, we cannot say at the university level, everything will be free. There will have to be certain amount of money to be paid. And for me, that amount of money to be paid should be, because they pay it in private universities. Why not in a government university? And that has to be paid, must be paid. And if you don't have money, and the main show that you have got money, then what should be in the bank or the book or whatever it is, where, of course, at the end of your educational process.
With the latest reports from the African continent, Asia, Europe, Australia, the Middle East, the Americas, sports and entertainment are not left out. With correspondents bringing you up to date with developing stories, exploring all views, making sure all voices are heard. Join me every weekday at 10 a.m. on Global View. A daily update of reports and developments comes to you at 6 p.m. on Global Updates. Catch all our programs live on our website at abn.ng/live or on StarTime channel 140. On socials, find us at ABN TV. ABN, a part of you.
And I'm Gigi. Welcome to Engine Season 2. The place to find out about the world we live in and the creatures that we share our planet with. Join us on the most exciting adventures across the African continent. See breathtaking wildlife, stunning landscapes, and out of this world technologies. Meet incredible scientists and learn fantastic facts. Explore, discover, be amazed. Be part of the next generation of African change makers. Be a part of Engine, Africa's #1 science discovery program. Yay! Let's go!
We're learning every day.
Let's go! Let's go!
Engine leads the way.
What
Watch this educative program on this channel every Saturday at 9 a.m. and a repeat on Sunday at 11 a.m. ABN, a part of you.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, we have the paper reviewer, the state chairman of Civil Liberties Organization in Akwa Ibom State here, Otoekon Franklin Ison, is already seated in the studio. So good to have you on the program. Thank you.
Good morning, Michael Bassi.
I just quickly want to ask you what you feel about the House of Representatives Education Summit that is ongoing. It is supposed to be a two-day event. It was already held yesterday, and quite a number of speakers all over the country and beyond gathered to give ideas. What is it about ideas and implementation, in your own assessment? Because I'm sure that we've had very serious, high-powered meetings over a lot of issues in this country, which Nigerians, unfortunately, don't see the light of day immediately after that. And of course, sometimes they even do as if immediately after the summit, the whole narrative is going to change. But of course, the situation remains the way it is. So what is going to be the difference in this particular one? Because they seem to be very serious, owing to the number of people and the caliber of people that are at the summit and, of course, sharing such ideas.
Well, I am of the school of thought that ideas could be gotten from marketplace like that. Just like you've asked, what is going to be the aftermath of the exercise? We've had several of such fora where we've contributed ideas. Nigerians have come together and contributed ideas on how to make good policies for our various sectors, not just only in the education sector. We have in the agri sector and even in the economy. But at the end of the day, implementation becomes very difficult. So I do not see this being any different from the past. I think it's still the same thing. It's a waste of resources. It's going to be a waste of resources. And at the end of the day, this was budgeted for. The public funds have been used to carry out the exercise. Just one of those, I don't want to call it political jamboree, but that seemed to be what it is. Because at the end of the day, you will not see anything tangible coming out of it. If the Speaker of the House of Representatives, for instance, could midwife or mediate into the crisis between AXU and the federal government, and that matter is still unresolved till today. And this is the Speaker of the House that is now organizing a public seminar on how to better our education. I do not think, because the Speaker, intervened with his capacity as the Speaker of the House of Reps, and the ASU members gave in, added, including with the pressure from the court judgment, the Court of Appeal, and the National Industrial Court. If up to today as we speak, the salaries of ASU members are not being paid. If up to today as we speak, the matter is still lingering, ASU has threatened to return back to trenches, I do not see anything coming out of what is going on today. I would have rather advised...
But given the level of seriousness, because the Speaker seems to be very sincere about this matter, and he has made it very clear that immediately after the summit, there is going to be a paper that will be followed up. So at this particular point in time, why are you still having doubt?
Is it not the same Speaker that intervened and persuaded the ASU members to call off their strike? So what is different between that Speaker and this Speaker? It's the same person that intervened and persuaded the ASU members to call off their strike. Why am I saying this? It's because the whole thing seemed to be like, money has been made available for this exercise. We have to do it. Like money has been budgeted for this exercise, and if you don't do it, how do you now retire and give a account for it? So they must go ahead to do it. Otherwise, if you ask me, I would have said the money that we are used, or that is being used, or that will be used for this 2 days exercise, for people to go and present papers and opinion and point, should have been used to add to the better welfare of our lecturers. what are they asking for? Good welfare, implement good policies, and the rest. You don't need the House of Reps, which is a legislative arm of government, to come up with a paper to the executive. They are even going far beyond their scope of operations. If you ask me, the job of the legislature is to legislate good legislations, is to oversight the executive, is to carry out, to represent their constituencies, and that is just that. So what are they what they are doing now? They will tell me that they will come up with will they come up with a position? Will they come up with a law? Are they going to make a law out of this? Or they are coming out with an opinion, advisory to the president, which is to say, President, we are advising you to do this, and the president could tell you your advisory or your resolution is just a mere advisory. It's not binding. It's only persuasive. So the president could choose to look the other way around. So I think that what would have been done would have been the National Assembly to focus more on making policies, making bills, making laws that will improve on the welfare of our lecturers, will improve on the infrastructural facilities of our public health sectors, public schools, and the rest, than going to hold a public forum that they will now give a position pass to the president, who will tell you your position is just a mere advisory.
All right. So on that note, we go to the Daily Independent newspaper and begin to take a look at what papers are reporting this morning. The Daily Independent newspaper. The Daily Independent, we've attracted $3 billion investment to oil gas sector. Buhari, as he flags of a crude oil drilling project in Bauchi, Gombe. A court declines plea to resume INEC voter registration exercise. The Senate bows to pressure, fails to name masterminds of oil theft, says Nigeria lost $2 billion in 8 months. AFCTA, Sierra Leone takes delivery of first batch of innocent vehicles. Dangote Sugar upscales a $700 million investment, increases plantation to 24,200 hectares. Media adopts new co-regulation code of ethics. Imo PDP tax crisis takes messier dimension. And of course, Wike presents 550.5 billion naira 2023 budget to Assembly. And above the masthead of the Daily Independent newspaper, Buhari to unveil new naira notes today. NSCDC operatives intercept 9 trucks loaded with stolen crude oil. And of course, we go straight to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper, as we take a look at it, has oil drilling begins in Gombe, Bauchi, with 1 billion barrels oil, 500,000 barrels, 500,000 BSCF gas. And of course, with some riders, Buhari orders NNPC to step up oil search. Says Kolmani project attracted a $3 billion investment. Silver carry drum support for exploration across inland. Lawan advocates constitutional review for 30% derivation utilization. Bauchi Gombe governors pledge support conducive environment. I'll take project up from Buhari, says Tinubu. And of course, CBN moves to curb inflation as interest rate jumps to 16.5%. Nigerian media industry adopts new co-regulation code of ethics. Coups, US excludes Sudan, Mali, others from Africa Leaders Summit. And of course, we run to the Nigerian Tribune before we come back to Ekong for some comments on the papers. The Nigerian Tribune has these. Buhari in Bauchi, Gombe border town. Flags of oil exploration. Lord's discovery of 1 billion barrels of oil reserves. 500 billion cubic feet of gas at exploratory site, says Kolmani project challenging due to landlocked location. Oil fields to be developed by Sterling Global Oil, NDDC and NPC Limited. Will recharge Lake Chad if elected. President Tinubu. Khan meets Obi Atiku. APC deceived Nigerians with restructuring in 2015. Atiku says hints on constitutional amendments, support who you can trust. Obi tells Nigerians We have not changed our stance on Muslim ticket can. And court declines to order INEC to resume voter registration exercise. 2 policemen, 59 others die in Borno Plateau, Abuja Kogi auto crashes. Media adopts new co-regulation, code of ethics. And of course, assembly crisis allow democratic process. Ekiti elders tell APC leaders. Buhari unveils new Naira notes today. Nigeria earned $741 billion from oil, gas in 22 years. Those are the headlines on the 3 papers we have reeled out this morning. Otueko, the biggest headline in all of the 3 papers, is about Bauchi and Gombe State. They are now all producing states.
Yep. That's a welcome development. That's effort well commended. They started the oil exploration 2 years ago, precisely I think 2019, when some oil companies went in and they could not come out with anything tangible, but the president still insists that there should be more effort to intensify in order to see if they could discover crude oil in the north. And today, we are happy that the effort of the government, the billions that was spent into the exploration activities, have yielded fruit. I'm happy when I listen.
Is it the $3 billion?
Yeah, that was spent into the exploration activities.
Spent to
explore, to carry seismic operation and search for this crude oil.
How about if we try as a country to be investing big amounts of money in the education and health?
Yeah, you also look at what will give you the resources first. You know, if you are a business person and you do not think of source of income, you're thinking of how to spend. How do you even spend what you don't have? So the first thing is you think of how to get the resources. So what Nigerian government will be using to get this money that they will invest in the sector of education.
But we've been getting the money all along.
It is still from the same crude oil. Crude oil has been the mainstay of our economy. We are running a mono economy where crude oil determines what we get. Our budget is predicated on the crude oil price. The crisis in Ukraine, Iraq is affecting our resources today. You can see the country is almost going cap in hand, begging for funds because of the crisis in Ukraine. So I think that getting to explore for more avenues that will give you more resources, for me, no matter the billions you spend, is justifiable, provided that at the end of the day, you will be able to make judicious use of the resources. You know, I am happy because it's going to bring some level of sanity, some level of peace in the country. I listened to the president's advice at the event when he advised the operators that they should try to avoid the mistakes that was done in the Niger Delta region. And these mistakes, he listed out communal crisis, youth restiveness, and environmental degradation. I don't think the president is far from the truth. If you go to Ogoni land today, that area is completely, inhabitable. You cannot do anything in Ogoni land. Late Kesarewa fought for the Ogoni cleanup, and he was eventually killed. And many persons have lost their lives. Today, the fishermen in Ogoni land cannot go into fishing. Farmers cannot farm. The lands have become completely polluted. The government has come up with a program that they are going to clean up the Ogoni land till today. That exercise is still in futility. So I think that and Shell cannot go in there to operate because the people of Ogoni, Mosop and the rest have said Shell cannot come into Ogoni land. They have declared Shell non-personal grata because of this exercise and what led to the killing of the Ogoni 4 and the Kesarewa and the rest. The story is there. So this communal crisis, oil discovery most times can lead to distrust amongst community leaders. You see the oil companies come in, they apply divide and rule tactics. I have worked in oil company. I know how the oil companies operate. The oil politics is such that when they meet one chief who tells you, "Don't worry, I have the youth in my hands. I can control them. Take the money from the company and call some few youths and give them peanuts and tell them that stand with me." By the time the company comes, these few youths that got peanuts will support the stand of the leader against the other majority of the people of the community. So you go to a community that have oil, you won't see any tangible facility. Like you won't see anything like the health sector will still be underdeveloped. You won't see good education. For instance, I am from Ekamchan in Barenin. In Akwa Ibom State, we are one of the crude oil producing communities. As we speak today, my land has been used. The pipeline has been laid because the Petroleum Industry Act that was passed had, said anywhere crude oil is discovered, the land, the entire place belongs to the federal government. Before now, we used to talk about the Land Use Act 1978 that says any land in the state is held in trust by the governor for the people that excluding the land that you have crude oil. Now in my community we have crude oil, the whole of the land belongs to the federal government. They came and they lay pipeline from where it is to where they have their oil wells and where they carry the activities. We in the community are suffering the impact. If it rains now, you put your bucket and fresh water. When you keep it for like 10 minutes, it turns color. It turns like Fanta. You can't drink it. It's rusty. So our lifespan is short. Our roof, I change the roof of my house twice a year because of the acidic content that drops on it. Our asbestos are destroyed. Our land and the rest. Our fishing activities are paralyzed. But then we don't get anything to commensurate with what we are suffering, the impact. And that is why the president is advising the oil companies that are handling this one not to repeat the mistakes that have led to restiveness. If today our community come up to resist the government, we'll be seen as a community resisting government development, and then they will come and crush us. So that is why the president is asking that the oil companies should not repeat the mistakes of the Niger Delta region. But that again brings also the issue of the Petroleum Industry Act that was passed. Yes. That they gave 3% to the host community. Host community wasn't actually defined who is actually the host community of this particular area. Now, we have just said, now we have the crude oil found in our own land. Anywhere the pipeline passes through, because the host community. So if, for example, you lay pipeline from a community in Akwa Ibom State to Nasarawa, the whole of that line, where the line passes through to where you have the fuel dump, where they now go and explore the oil activity, become the host community.
Even when such communities don't have
oil, just because they have the presence of the pipelines being laid. Okay. So the impact that I feel as a community that owns the oil in my land is not the same thing as the one that the pipeline only merely passes through. So that is where we have issues. So now that we now have it in the north, the northern elite will now see the need to redefine who are actually host communities.
I just pray that they run a pipeline across the basic postal
to become host community.
Yes,
of course.
Sharing the
that is what the act says, which is actually wrong.
You should begin to see some new Naira notes anytime soon, because our president is launching the new ones today. How do you feel?
I feel better about it. I feel that it is long overdue. Like I said, from the day it was announced that it is high time we started having new policy that will regulate our monetary policy. I'm happy that the central bank has stuck to its guns. The presidency has remained firm that there is need to have new Naira note. Let's begin to have new 1,000 Naira note and new 5,000 Naira note. Let us now begin to see how we can regulate. It was alarming when the central bank governor said that we have some trillions of Naira notes in this public space, out of which only less than 80% are in the bank. So where are they? They are in private hands. They are stored in the mortuary. They are stored in the stomach of crocodiles. They are stored in the house of termites. So now that this policy is out and the deadline is 31st January, it then means that between now and then, termites will vomit the one that they swallowed. The one that was buried in the cemeteries will be exhumed and brought out. Otherwise, they will remain permanently.
What about the ones that have decayed already, like the ones we saw the other time?
The ones that were discovered, in the stomach of lizards, they will bring them out. Otherwise, it will remain there for life. I'm happy. It's time that the president begin to make policies that, though harsh, but it will help to create some level of sanity. I'm happy that even the United States government has also come up with a policy to regulate the activities of dollar. So they also have a time limit that this dollar, by February or so, dollar will be changed. So this particular policy will also help to police our own electoral system, and the outcome will be seemingly clean from what used to be. Because those who have stashed these billions in their houses, in bullion vans, hoping to use it, they will not have any means than to bring the money and share to the masses. There is hunger in the land, in the midst of billions, in the midst of plenty. But now that this policy is there, between now and January 31st, any good conscious leader who has touched trillions in his house, who has no means to take this money to the bank, should begin to call the community and share this money to them. That way, you would have in touch on lives and also reach out to the
and alleviated poverty.
Yes.
Now, there is this headline on the Daily Independent newspaper that I think I should bring to your notice, so that we examine the pros and cons, the intended and unintended consequences of this kind of development, where our Nigerian Senate has bowed to pressure and failed to name masterminds of all theft. Because I grew up to see in some community practices that when somebody steals and is caught, he is made to, he will be paraded in the communities, in the streets, within the communities. Sometimes they will even go as far as putting charcoal on you and shaming you and naming you and shaming you, and people gathering to mock you and all that, so that it can serve. I don't know how effective it used to be. Now, about the issue of oil theft in the country, a lot of people were caught, and so many pieces of information have been discovered as to who the real sponsors of these people are. But what is it about concealing identities of these people? What are the advantages of such?
It wasn't even in the powers of the Senate to name the alleged masterminds of the oil theft.
But they can do something to compel the relevant agency to do so.
You see, you should understand the duty of the parliament. They are not the executive. They are not also judiciary. These persons are alleged mastermind. They are not actually convicted. No matter the evidence that the Senate, might be at the Senate disposal, it's not enough to accuse any person and say you're the one who masterminded this act. What the Senate should rather do is to assist the executive arm of government to be able to prosecute these persons in the court of law. Let the court of law now confirm these persons as actual masterminds, not alleged masterminds. As it stands today, every person is presumed innocent in the eyes of the law. That is what the Evidence Act says.
Is that not partly the problem we have?
No, it is not. It is not, because if you don't if you don't allow the rule of law to take place, you have a case where if I have issue with you and you are a senator, you can come and call me thief. And you just accuse me, and then I could be lynched, or I could be destroyed. By the time they will now say it was not actually because they had issues this time, I have already been killed. So the reason why you have this is to put a check so that nobody is accused innocently. Nobody is also killed innocently, or let the due process. If the senators have any evidence to assist the executive in the prosecution, don't forget that crude oil theft is a crime against the state. So it is now state versus the person. They should furnish the detail that they have to the executive, who will now take those particular action, take those documents, and then get those persons arrested and arraign them in a competent court of law for the court to look at evidence before it and make a pronouncement. When that is done, you have fulfilled all righteousness. You have followed the rule of law, and the persons who are alleged to have committed this crime are given the room for fair hearing to also give their own side of the story. That is how it is done. Otherwise, you will have a case where people just be accused because they have political interest that are at variance with them.
Okay, so let's just presume.
They could be named.
Let's just take it for granted that that process has to be followed.
Yes.
Because, of course, we have to do things rightly.
Exactly.
And in accordance with the law. But then, what has been the problem over time that we find it very difficult? I know it's not the responsibility of the legislature to do so, but what happens, in our court systems that alleged masterminds of very, very serious criminal activities like this, we don't seem to see, much of the outcomes in courts. Nigerians don't seem to see justice prevail. Nigerians don't seem to see people, get into trouble for stealing the patrimony of the country. Nigerians don't see, the bigwigs of the country, being held accountable by the laws of the land. What Nigerians see is the fact that human beings are bigger than institutions of government. They can circumvent ways to evade arrest and, of course, find a way out. When Nigerians see the fact that somebody has been sent to jail because he is a big wig in the society, he comes out of such and all of that. When are we as a country going to see the law taking effect and people who are culpable of criminal activities being punished, no matter who he is in our country? Because that is a lot of the things Nigerians want to see.
You see, I am an advocate of rule of law, fairness, equity, and justice. I will not sit here and tell you that we should return back to a draconian system whereby once you are alleged to have committed a crime, the court should make a pronouncement based on public sentiment. No. The court has its own rules of operations. Most of the times, let's take for instance the ESCC cases that we've had, several of them been quashed by the court. It's because of the procedural process, defective in the filing process, and you can come up, if for example, you allege that someone is an armed robber, assuming the person is charged in the court, arraigned in the court for armed robbery, the court expects you to prove how did this man carry arms. That's number one. Number two, the time he committed this offense, was it in the daytime or at night? That's the truth. Now, if one could carry arm and rob in daytime, the law calls it stealing. The one could carry arm and rob at night, that same law calls it armed robbery. So you look at it this way. So you don't just say because you are the executive, you file charges. You could see 30 charges against somebody over corruption, and then at the end of the day, none of these charges could be proved, because you must be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt. You must prove that your allegations against this person, actually are true. And when the burden of proof lies on you, that allege, and you are unable to prove it, the court will not favor you by becoming a Father Christmas to give you what you don't deserve. The court will give you what you deserve. You take, for example, the case of Nnamdi Kanu, for instance. Federal government filed charges against the young man, treason, and this and this and this and this. You see, at the end of the day, the court held that the procedure of extradition was wrong. That is the first thing the court look at. The court didn't look at the charges. Fine, you have good case, but how did you get this man to the country? And that foundation became defective, that flouted the entire process of law. Okay. So the court now ruled against the government. One will say the court should rule in favor of the government, but because of that procedure, the court held against the government. So the court is there to look at your allegations, your charges, and look at the merit of it, and grant you what it deserves.
Otuekong, just at the risk of not overflocking the situation, we understand that is supposed to be the process. But what I'm trying to say is that people are getting away so much
because of incompetency of the prosecuting agencies. Simply put, those lawyers who are handling these charges, so they could be compromised. They knew that this process is faulty, and they do it because they are compromised with the person that is being prosecuted. Okay. So they haven't filed defective charges. And the person that they filed charges against will be set free. Several of them, the Senate minority leader, Senator Ojis Okalo, was sent to prison, was convicted. At the end of the day, the whole thing was revised. Today he's there sitting. You have several of them. So, but the truth is that you can have good cases, but when you have compromised security agencies, compromised law enforcement agents that compromise with you and file defective charges against you, the court will look at the charges and say these charges are completely lack of merit. And then the court will just, strike it out.
All right, so let's take a look at the Daily Sun newspaper as our time is fast spent. The Daily Sun newspaper talks about 2023 polls. Atiku Obi presents plans to can Nigeria requires president with physical, mental energy. LP candidate, the LP candidate says so. I'll expunge indigenship in constitution. PDP standard bearer. 5G governor storm Abia tomorrow for Ikpeazu. PDP told to discipline unruly governors. Media adopts a co-regulation framework, code of ethics. Sanwo-Olu pledges continued support for the homeless, less privileged. And that piece of information could be found on page 3 of the Daily Sun newspaper. 20 million out-of-school children taking bomb, Obasanjo warns. All theft. Senate report fails to indict perpetrators. And court refuses to order INEC to resume continuous voter registration. Let's begin from the banner headline where Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, both a standard bearer of the Labour Party and the People's Democratic Party, have presented plans to the Christian Association of Nigeria. But anytime things like these are happening, we seem to see only the PDP and the APC and NNPP candidates presenting papers to CAN. We don't seem to see much of the APC with the standard bearer of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu presenting things to CAN. When everybody is doing so, he always wants to do his own separately.
Well, there is no rule that guide how you go about campaigning for your ambition. The Electoral Act did not spell out this, that you must present your manifesto to INEC.
The argument by majority of Nigerians in this country is, why is it that when the presidential candidates are converging to sell the agenda and blueprints to people, the APC candidate is always missing?
That is why I asked you. That is why I said also that there is no fast rule that says you have to do what others are doing. The rule is that you have to campaign. How you go about the campaign is left for you to design. You have your campaign managers who have told you this is what we will do. Campaign plan have been marshaled out. And so if others are going to present their own in a debate, and you say because others are going to present their own in a debate, you now go and join. That is not what you have in your own timetable. Assuming, I'm not speaking for defending any of the candidates, but morally speaking, now let us leave the legally speaking. And the morally speaking, it is right to market yourself. Let's see you along with others. Speak to us so that we can ask all of you questions. That is to say, if there is need for a public debate, even though it is not legally backed up, let us also see you along with others. I'm happy to see the candidate of the PDP saying he's going to. I even saw him said, "I swear to God, I will." He was swearing to God. He said, "I swear to God, I will implement this. I will do this." And he was swearing to God. He keep on swearing to God from when he started campaigning. Not just this particular 2023 contest. From when I knew him, when he started contesting, he has been swearing to God. But unfortunately, he has not been given opportunity.
Yeah. Let me ask, just based on, you're going to continue, sorry for coming in like that. There's this thing about the Hausa people, the Northerners generally. They usually don't swear.
That is the point.
And all that. But when there is a situation that warrants them to swear, it means they mean business. So do you now say, because you have brought that matter up now, do you think that there is, as an Hausa man, as a Fulani man or as a Northerner, that he has, started swearing? Can you, see an element of sincerity in him based on the antecedents of the Northerners and, swearing?
No, I would treat him as a politician. I would detach him from the cloud of the Hausa, the Muslim belief that you don't have to swear to convince anyone that you mean what you will do. But I will see him as a politician who wants to convince his listeners. We all know rather, the belief system of the Muslim, just like the Christians, that you don't have to swear to convince me that what you're saying is the truth. Say it and allow me to believe what I want to believe. But when you keep on swearing, you are simply making me to see you as someone who might not actually mean what you are saying. Because if you are actually a true believer of your religion, you don't have to swear to convince me. So I will treat him as a politician who wants to get what he wants using every means. Take, for instance, the Wike issue. Wike is now bringing in several questions that he even point out Atiku. That Atiku, told him that Ayu will resign. And I believe that Atiku must have swear to Wike that, I swear to God, Ayu will resign. And that is why you see Wike saying he has to
that's an assumption.
No, I assumed.
Okay.
Because he has been swearing. I'm not speaking to the market anybody. I'm saying that let us look at the instance of the internal party crisis now. You know why Wike is existing? Wike is saying because this particular candidate came to me and said that if I become this, that Ayu will resign. I'm quoting what Mike is saying. And if he could not keep to that particular agreement, which is an internal politics, how then will he not keep to the one he's making to the entire country? That is now left for the masses to decide. Now back to their meeting with the Khan. It's a good development. I want to see them meet with the Khan, meet with the Muslim communities, meet with every person, even with the atheists, even with the non-believers, and come and sell their vote and then sell themselves. At the end of the day, let us be the ones to decide. They should allow us to choose from the array of all of them. Whether they go for a debate as a team or not, it is immaterial. The material fact is that INEC should allow to give us a clean process that will allow all the aspirants to have equal playing field, so that Nigerians will not decide who they want without any influence from any corner.
From the point you raised where you said, Nigerians should, politicians, presidential candidates should meet people across board, they should meet almost everybody. Do you see that in the presidential candidates of the APC? Because he seems to be doing exactly what you're saying. He is having meetings. Sometimes he goes to meet with people you never thought he would meet.
That is what I want. I have said that there is no, the guideline or timetable of INEC or the act did not spell out what you should do to get vote. He has lifted ban on campaign. How you get about campaigning is left for your party missionaries to decide. I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu is holding town hall meetings. I have watched most of those town hall meetings where he speaks and what he says. I have also watched I've also watched Atiku speaking and Obi and the rest.
All right. So there is a call coming in from Benue State. Hello. Good morning, Oche. How are you?
Hello.
Good morning. You're on. How are you? Please be audible.
Actually, I'm the resource person.
Good morning.
Good morning, back and the resource person.
Yes, please. Good morning. Thank you.
Actually, I want to react to the issue of the way the law of our land is operating. Talking about some persons will commit some crime, and at the end of the day, they will go scot-free simply because they are one of the elite or something like that. And the farmer will still maybe in the market, and they will throw the person behind the person. Probably nobody will, if you give for and the person keep on watching in the jail because everybody is nobody. The issue is this. You remember back in the 2015, when this government was about coming on board, what the person, Commander-in-Chief, was telling us when he was going on from one state to the other for campaign was the core or the major subject matter that was the issue of corruption. And if you can tell ourselves the simple truth, you see that corruption are raising square 100 now. The way things is going now is to say they are seeking corruption. So, but there's no any person that is they have thrown behind the bar, the offense he committed. You see the one that they will take to court. Tomorrow you see that person going scot-free. One of them in the Senate, you mentioned one of them now. So my brother, in society where there was a book I read in my secondary school days, written by Jojo, he said that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Animal farm. This way we do things in this country that some persons are more equal than the other. Things will never go well. Go to anywhere. It's better the way we treat the commoner, you treat the elite that same way.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Because if you check out what is going on now, hello, let me finish. You see that some of the elite, what is giving them the backbone is that after committing all sorts of crime, maybe I will use money to go my way out. I see the person going scot-free. How do you think that corruption will stop the society? It cannot stop. Some other person will come and stop the way that person stops. So let us do things right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's on the New Telegraph newspaper. A court refuses to order INEC to resume voter registration, says going by date of verdict, INEC will have just few days to 90 days before polls. There is numerous threats to 2023 election, says Mustafa, fake news threatening polls and all that. Yesterday, I think I read somewhere where court had ordered INEC to resume or start or continue the voter registration process, only for us to see something a different ball game entirely on the newspapers today. What do you think? Would you?
What you read was fake news.
That yesterday?
Yeah, what you read was a revise of what Justice Inyeku's ordered.
Okay.
I think he did not order that INEC should resume. You look at the case is time barred. If INEC is to resume, INEC will not meet up the 90 days time limit to carry out the election. So that is why the court, refused to grant the order. So what you read was a revise of what the court ordered. So it was a fake news.
So who wrote that one?
So that is that
because it was all over the place.
All over the place. Yeah, I was shocked in the first place because I know that the Chief Justice of Nigeria has warned all the judges not to issue orders that will hamper the process of election. So assuming that order was given, it would have caused confusion in the polity.
All right, so let's go to Mr. Goodluck now, all the way from Delta State.
Sir.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Okay. Sir, how to comment on the area of the new Naira notes?
Okay.
Yes, sir. This country, I assume we are faced in many ways. Now, much money will earn somewhere in houses. Much money we were eating, and now they are coming out. And this new notes is now forcing all the old notes to come out, right? But soon, once the new notes is invoked, shortly that habit will still come to play. Much money will still be earned somewhere. So the question is, the policy, how effective will it be when that habit, that attitude of nation of hiding money is not dealt with? It will still occur in the future, right? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please, land on your thoughts.
Sir?
I said you should just wrap up, please.
Okay, sir. So the issue of changing the diagnosis is not the best. Rather, I was looking for a way of managing the Nigerian philosophy of hiding money. That is the focus.
Okay.
And not changing the Naira note.
Okay, all right, thank you. But the Naira note has been changed, so there's nothing anybody can do about it at this point.
It's okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. So on the PDP crisis, IBB, Goodluck, Ebele, Jonathan moved to reconcile Atiku Abubakar. Take that as your final.
My final take will just be that I would have thought that these leaders should have paid more attention on the ASU federal government crisis. I did not hear any of them speak. I didn't hear Goodluck Jonathan. I didn't hear IBB. Nor did I hear Obasanjo.
Obasanjo spoke yesterday in the education summit.
I don't mean the summit, which I have already put a doubt on. I mean when the crisis was on, when Nigerian students were in their home for 8 months, these leaders were nowhere to be found to offer the government and ASU advice on how to go about it. It was only the Speaker of the Rep who came out to stick his integrity, which today has been.
So because of that, they should not wade into a political crisis?
Now they are becoming politicians. They should have spoke as statesmen to advise Nigerian ASU and advise Nigerian students and the government. Why are they concerned about party politics? What is their interest in the party? Of course, they want to prove that that they are party men. I know IBB said he has resigned from politics. What is his interest? These are party issues. They should be speaking about Naira. The country Nigerian crisis. How do we resolve our economy? They have been there as Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces. How do we handle the issue of insecurity? I've not heard them speak, apart from OBJ. I've not heard these two men speak or advise the president on how to resolve the issue of insecurity. Our economy is going downward. I've not heard them speak. They have been there. Severally, we've had blame games. When the blame games come from the PDP, from the APC, it always go to affect the Goodluck Jonathan. It affects Obasanjo. It affects even IBB, who was there. Because the blame game it goes to behind those who have been there before. The issue of power sector, the issue of corruption and the rest. We've not had any of them come out to defend themselves or their government or to advise the government of the day on how to go about to resolving this issue. So coming now to speak on party matter, for me, shows that they are not patriotic Nigerians. That's my own view.
But politicians, what did you expect politicians to do? To sit by and watch
I see them as
crisis degenerating that one political party.
If it happens in APC or Labour Party or Afghan, would they also speak?
Are you asking
at
me?
Yes, at the level they are statesmen. That is the way I see them.
Okay.
I wouldn't see them be speaking on a small party matter.
But don't you
they should
think
be speaking about Nigerian crisis?
But don't you think once a politician, always a politician, no matter how you have retired?
That is where we missed the point. Okay. I watched Obong Victor Atta, former governor of Akwa Ibom State, speaking as a compatriot on Channels TV interview, hard copy with Ogu, and it was incisive. Was speaking about Nigerian leaders who have held offices before, the patriots come together to speak about the Nigerian issue, Nigerian economy, how to unite the country, not about party politics. Throughout the question, I didn't hear you speak about party matter or party issues.
But here in the state, he endorsed Omoyino. Is that not political move?
Well, I wouldn't know whether he endorsed.
He did. I'm telling you,
if you tell me that he endorsed,
and he even put forward some sterling leadership qualities.
What was the reason? What was the ethics he gave? Because in that meeting that he was in, that meeting, I learned he was invited along with other leaders, and he made. Would he vote? He made his own personal submission and said, "For me, I
so
submit
that
for
is
this
not
man,
political.
That he will vote. Definitely, he will vote." But when you speak about issue of national issue, like he spoke about the issue of state, and he said he endorsed Omoyino, for instance. When it comes for issue of election, he is going to vote. There's no crisis in PDP. Okay. He wasn't speaking for PDP. He was speaking for one that he will vote for. Now, when when Jonathan and
I'm sorry, Otuekong, we've run out of time completely. Thank you very much for having come around today.
It's my pleasure.
There will always be, I know that you have so many things to say. That is what makes you Otuekong now. So thank you very much, and we take a short break. We will be back before you know it. Please don't go away.
Carbon footprint follows environmental issues, from pollution to waste disposal, climate change to global warming, greenhouse effects, and more. Emission varies depending on individuals, location, habits, and personal choices. Get the hang of it on carbon footprints. Join me, Awe Ruswogene Ebo, on the program every Saturday at 11 a.m. as we run through the consequences of your actions and inactions on the environment. Carbon footprint. Only on ABN.
This is Events 360. We bring to you the best of events in and around the Niger Delta region and beyond. The show, the wedding, the parties, and more. We will introduce to you the most beautiful place you could visit with family and loved ones. Only on Events 360. Join us every Saturday for the program. Event 360 with Uwem and Tilly. Only on ABN TV. With the latest reports from the African continent, Asia, Europe, Australia, the Middle East, the Americas, sports and entertainment are not left out. With correspondents bringing you up to date with developing stories, exploring all views, making sure all voices are heard. Join me every weekday at 10 a.m. on Global View. A daily update of reports and developments comes to you at 6 p.m. on Global Updates. Catch all our programs live on our website at abn.ng/live or on StarTime channel 140. On socials, find us at ABN TV. ABN, a part of you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nena. And I'm Gigi. Welcome to Engine Season 2. The place to find out about the world we live in and the creatures that we share our planet with. Join us on the most exciting adventures across the African continent. See breathtaking wildlife, stunning landscapes, and out of this world world technologies.
Meet incredible scientists.
And learn fantastic facts.
Explore, discover, be amazed.
Be part of the next generation of African change makers.
Be a part of Engine, Africa's #1 science discovery program. Yay!
We're learning every day. Let's go. Engine leads the way.
Watch this educative program on this channel every Saturday at 9 a.m. and a repeat on Sunday at 11 a.m. ABN, a part of you.
Life is a combination of colors and experience in its beauty. The Lifestyle Gallery showcases the beautiful blends of African lifestyle, a TV magazine of lifestyle, food, homes, and fashion, combined with interesting interviews on trending issues. I am Nana Abna. Welcome to my world. Join me every Saturday at 2 p.m. and a repeat on Sunday, showing on ABN TV.
Welcome to the rule of the majority, a government in which the supreme power is vested in the people and supervised through a system of representation. Democracy belongs to the people. Political Trail follows these developments and many more. Political Trail, trailing political developments. Let's talk security, current affairs, governance, politics, your view, elections, rule of law, economic issues, foreign events on the Talking Point. Talking Point, weekdays on this channel.
Welcome to Engine Season 2.
Join us on the most exciting adventures across the African continent.
Explore, discover, be amazed.
Be part of the next generation of African change makers.
Be a part of Engine, Africa's #1 science discovery program.
Let's go. We're learning every day. Let's go. Engine leads the way.
Watch this educative program on this channel every Saturday at 9 a.m. and a repeat on Sunday at 11 a.m. ABN, a part of you.
Thank you very much for joining us on the second segment of the program. And of course, interesting times ahead of Nigeria. And as the days come by, Nigerians are looking forward to the elections. And of course, before you know it, the way the days and nights are coming as fast as possible, we will be there. And the new Nigeria that we are looking for will be birthed. That is the expectation of a lot of Nigerians. So on that note, we want to take a look at the presidential elections and expectation of Nigerians. And this is stemming from the fact that Nigerians have a lot of hope about who is the next president of this country. I don't know why that happens, but of course, Nigerians know why. So on that note, we have two gentlemen in the studios who will be addressing the situation, and we'll try to narrow it down to the presidential candidates of some of the political parties we have in this country. And of course, the first is Honorable Michael Jaja. He is the APC House of Assembly candidate here in Akwa Ibom State. So good to have you.
Thank you very much, my brother.
We also have the head of strategy and digital communications of the Labour Party in the person of Ikake Basi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Let me begin with you. What's your dream of the next president of this country?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike. Good morning, Nigerians. The dream, my dream, if I want to put it that way, my dream of the next president of Nigeria is a man, one, who is competent, who has the courage. We need an inspirational leader that can change people's attitude. Because once that happens, then certain things will begin to take shape. And of course, we need someone who can unite Nigeria. Because as it stands now, I think that Nigeria is very, very disunited across religious lines, across ethnic lines, and what have you. So we need that leader who knows what it takes to unite the people and channel our focus and energy towards ensuring that we grow as a nation and compete with other big economies in the world.
All right, so let me come to Michael Jaja. I'm going to ask you that same question. I know that you're one of the young Nigerians looking forward for a better country, because a lot of people feel that the current Nigeria we have, as we speak, a lot of things are wrong with it. So let me speak to you as a Nigerian, first and foremost, before as a party man. What is your dream of this country in 2023, and how would you want the new leader of this country to approach situations?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mike. Just like my brother just said, I think the most important thing here is someone who has capacity, okay, to be able to inspire Nigerians as a very hardworking persons.
Inspire in what way?
In all ramifications. For instance, the issue of lack of or unemployment out there in the face of our numerous natural resources and endowment. We need that person with that prerequisite knowledge, that capacity, that potential to be able to open up the economy for youthful participation. Someone who has a capacity to be able to drive, to inspire the younger generations and build a better and more comfortable Nigeria than what we have today, as a matter of fact. I look forward to such a president, and I'm happy that we have a lot of them out there, and when the time comes, we shall give kudos to them.
In your assessment, like one, I know that you are from the APC. Do you believe that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu fits into that description of the new president of this country?
Wow, beautiful question. Thank you very much. Yes, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a square peg in a square hole, given the circumstance of the present day reality. The records are there for those who care to see. When it's time for politics, people will try to promote their candidacy and candidature and say all manner of things, but the truth cannot be altered. It's there. This is a man who has the capacity to be able to transform the economy of a state to be as large as it is, and has a long-term developmental plan that is working right from the 1990s till date. He's a strategist, have worked in private sector. He has the requisite knowledge to be able to give us that Nigeria of our dreams. I agree that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a good omen to Nigeria.
But
right
how many
now.
Nigerians do you think agree to what you have just said now? Because if you threw this question open to the Nigerian populace, you may be shocked, to see a lot of different answers. So why do you think that Nigerians see him in that light that you have portrayed now?
Well, my reasons are obvious and they are clear. One, as a presidential candidate of a political party, it means that the entire over 40 million membership of the APC found him worthy. And then, going by his previous antecedent and office held previously and those he has empowered, I can assure you that over 85% of Nigerians, both young and old, have found confidence in the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be able to lead us to the Nigeria of our destination. He's the only one that has the capacity to build on the positive gains of the present administration to be able to take us to where we are going. I'm certain that a large number of persons out there, irrespective of political affiliations, knows that Tinubu has what it takes.
Ika Kebasi, let me come to you now. Your presidential candidate, His Excellency Peter Obi, seems to be enjoying tremendous support, most especially from the younger generation of this country. If there is a presidential candidate that has the massive turnout of youths who have volunteered themselves at different times to show support, it will be Peter Obi. But do you think that the youth population of this country is enough of what he needs to be the president?
Yes, the youth population of the country is enough to make Peter Obi the president of Nigeria, because if you follow statistics, I think the youth constitute over 60-something% of the nation's population, okay? And
how do we know it is the 60-something% of them, all of them, that will likely want to toe that line?
Obviously, it might not be all of them, but there's something I wanted to say about this movement that is called the obedience movement. And so we have to understand who the obedients are and what the movement is all about. Obedients are those young, educated Nigerians who are looking for a country, according to Fela Duritoye, I quoted him the last time, where the son of a nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. And of course, this population have energy, they have skill, they have what it takes to move this country forward in terms of intellectual input, okay? Our human capital is being exported, you know, not in terms of deliberate exportation of skill, but in terms of brain drain, because the economy cannot cater for their needs. For instance, the other day I was in Cross River State and I learned that a particular hospital, they are running short of nurses and doctors because they are migrating. Why are they migrating? Because the country is no longer conducive, considering the insecurity, the bad economy, and just bad governance. And so we need a leader who can inspire, first of all, hope, who can let Nigerians know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the youth have identified His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi as that man, which is why everybody is filing behind him. That is the reason for the obedient movement that you're hearing today. And so Peter Obi has what it takes. He has the capacity, he has the competence, he has the character, and of course, the opinion polls that have been conducted over time now has shown that Nigerians truly believe in him and wants him to come on board and take the leadership of this country and move us away from consumption to production, which is actually what is going to put Nigeria in the limelight and make us competitive as a nation among other growing or developed nations in the world.
Let me come to you, Honorable Michael Jaja. I want to ask you this question. In the presence of the Labour Party man, is your party threatened by the Obi movement?
Of course, we cannot be threatened by the presence of Obi level movement.
You know, looking at what is currently going on, looking at the massive organic support from the grassroots level, you know, that goes beyond mobilization and funding. You know, when you look at how they use their salaries to sponsor political activities for a presidential candidate who may not even know them by name and does not have their phone numbers. Have you ever seen a thing like that in your history as a politician? And you think that this is what, you know, that a Labour Party needs to spring surprises?
Well, as a matter of fact, political contest is a contest that is open to all the candidates, and as Nigerians, both youths and the elderly ones, we are at liberty to choose who to support at a certain time. Like my friend said, that the youth, by the record of INEX, makes up over 65 or thereabout percent. And this percentage, which is true, actually cut across party lines, as a matter of fact. And I want to assure you that, I will tell you that those who believe in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu or the APC holds a greater percentage of those youths percentage that was given, you know. So now, like the issue of support, where people who don't really know this candidate, like you said, is across party lines. People who support either candidate A or B, you know, must always do anything possible within their reach to show their support. But in the side of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, we may not want to come to look at those level of support, or say people were not paying shishi and all that, which may not be the real thing as per se. But for me, I want to say that as a young man, I appreciate the courage of the candidate you just mentioned for coming out to showcase himself, probably for future use. But going by the present day economic challenges and reality, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the one that has the capacity. My friend talked about hope. That is our team, renewed hope. You know, he has what it takes.
Yeah, let me pick you up on that. When this current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari came, he came with a lot of promises, and going by the assessment of Nigerians, Nigerians believe he has not really performed, and as a result of that, a lot of people are saying the APC government has failed Nigerians, APC government has disappointed Nigerians and all that. So in the light of that, do you think that Nigerians would want to give APC another chance, since they have already said APC is not doing well at the center? Do you think there is the possibility for Nigerians to willingly give APC another chance to continue to rule this country?
Yes, I will say it because those few persons who have not access to facts and figures that are trying to say that APC maybe have not kept to their promises, a very small percentage of the persons that the administration have touched their lives. You know, as government is continuing, and as far as we live as humans, our challenges are always there. You know, President Muhammadu Buhari came and inherited a lot of challenges of insecurity, economic downturn, COVID-19, and a lot of issues. And I want to tell you, by the records put forward before Nigerians, this present administration has been able to manage these situations to keep Nigeria united, keep Nigeria focused, and keep us going. Look at the social investment scheme, for instance. I was a little boy when I heard that those old days when we were military regime, some people used to go to school and have a meal and all that. I never enjoyed it myself, but you know, the present administration have brought it to bear, and millions of people have been affected by that social investment. And one thing peculiar, one thing that I want to draw your attention to, you know, the time of PDP administration those days, whatever government want to do, both at the national or where, must have a party coloration. You know, you must be proven to be a member either by show of any evidential proof that you're a member for you to have access to some certain benefits. But this present administration focus on Nigerians, and everything made for our welfare is thrown open on the table, and anybody can have access to it, irrespective of your party affiliations or support to the president or not. So to that effect, I agree that the incoming government will build, I've said that before, on the successes, on the positive note of the present administration, while tackling the challenges.
Do you believe that, or do you have some doubts over what he has just said about his presidential candidate and his party? He believes that his party, has been able to throw up some policies that have directly benefited Nigerians.
Okay, I'm just wondering. In fact, I'm amazed at my brother. You see, I think it was in 2019 when one of the elder statesmen said that we cannot reinforce failure because the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has failed Nigerians. And
when you say President Muhammadu Buhari has failed Nigerians,
I mean, that
seemed to be a blanket statement. In what specific areas do you think this
failures have been? He campaigned based on key things: economy, securing the country, and fighting corruption. And the statistics are out there. And if I may ask, how many persons has this government convicted of corruption since they came into power for the past almost 8 years now? Okay, it's not there. Now, if you ask in terms of the economy, when they came into power, how much was fuel? How much is fuel today? When they came into power, how much was naira to dollar? How much is naira to dollar today? Okay? In terms of insecurity, we've had situations where bandits and what have you will enter churches, enter mosques, and kill people. The recent one was the one that happened in Owo. Okay? Where are those people today? The people that perpetrated those crimes, where are they today? Have they been convicted? Have they been fished out? Okay? Sometimes it seems we forget too fast. I think between 2017, 2018, we were having mass burial in places like the North Central Benue, where headsmen enter the farms, kill those farmers, kill people. Nigerians were crying, begging for help. In fact, within that period, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, whose primary responsibility is to secure the lives and properties of Nigerians, did not show up to even sympathize or empathize with the families of those who lost their lives. It couldn't have as much, empathize with the government of Benue State to ensure that he rises to his responsibility. And on this premise, we cannot reinforce failure. Nigerians are threatened at the possibility of another APC-led government.
When you say Nigerians, I wonder what a category of person you are describing as Nigerians, because if you look at the support base of the APC currently, it seems to be one of the biggest, irrespective of some of those things you have outlined. That is number one. Then number two, you mentioned insecurity. I don't know if you were in this country when bomb blasts used to be everywhere, and some communities and some villages and local government areas in different parts of the northern Nigeria was seized and people were driven away, and those became territories for bandits and terrorists and Boko Haram members and criminal elements. I don't know if you have noticed that some of those communities have been reclaimed by this administration owing to the vigorous fight that the Nigerian military has taken to those domains, which have decimated, and of course a lot of progress recorded. Haven't you seen such?
Yes, a lot of success, or some successes, have been recorded in certain aspects. But you see, if somebody entered a particular community, to cause mayhem and kill people, and then you're able to go there, pursue them, they run away, and then they show up in another community, and you hear that they have spread into other parts of the country, you cannot claim success in such a case, because you have not nailed the issue. Those people that are perpetrating these crimes, where are they? How many of them have been convicted in the court of law?
Is there any society that is totally devoid of crimes and criminalities?
There is no society that is devoid of crime and criminality. However, every government, as provided by the Constitution, must ensure they take their primary responsibility seriously, which is the security of lives and properties. When this or was something happened, the president did not show up. We are constantly having a situation where things are happening, the lives of Nigerians are taken.
But a lot of representatives of this government showed up. So do Nigerians have a problem with the president taking action himself? Because I think the vice president of this country was there, and he's the number 2 man in this country. A lot of ministers was there. Even Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was there, and he donated. So those were the key figures in the APC and in this government. So was that not a representation of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Why must it always be representation? We have the president of this country.
Can you answer that question?
Well, to say, you see, the beauty of democracy is that it's allow everybody entitled to their individual opinions, as a matter of fact. So he made a quote that an elder said we cannot continue. That elder, I don't know his name, but I think that is personal view or opinion.
But do you believe that the APC government in the last 7.5 years has done well?
Yes, I've said that several, and I want to cite some instances. Like he said, in the issue of security, like you rightly said, some critical part of this country were held hostage before the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015. And those areas now, those that were sent to IDPs, they have all returned back to their home and they are doing well. Yes, no doubt there are pockets of security challenges here and there, as it is globally. It's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. But the government of the day is tackling this thing head on. He mentioned the issue of corruption as part of the agenda for the present administration. We all know that we have the judiciary whose duty it is or responsibility, because President Muhammadu Buhari has this military background, and by his emergence, some persons feel that he's going to be doing those military things. But he has reduced himself to allow the powers, constitutional effect of democracy to rule. These persons, we know them. Some arrests have been made, and they are going through normal legal processes. And I don't think we should hold the president responsible for how many convictions made and which was not made, which I know that a lot of convictions have been made. So I can say that President Muhammad in the area of fighting corruption is doing well. As a matter of fact, today, our leaders, those who want to do anything funny, must calculate and recalculate their steps, as a matter of fact, because the law agencies are there and nemesis will catch up with them. The issue of war, like he said, the president did issue. I think in 2023, we, the youth and the entire Nigerian, should be able to hold our leaders, irrespective of the various level, accountable. The president sits there, he has ministers, he has commissioners, he has those in charge of security agencies, and these people are working as a team. And so the failure of one particular agency to do what it ought to do, it should not just be to push it straight to the president. We should be able to also ask them, this man here and here, what have you done? It's a chain, and the president coming each time there is an event to come and cry and say, oh, sorry. So has it really solved the problem? The answer is no. But the president must not have been coming out. But
Nigerians believe that as a president of the country, you must show empathy. And the description or the definition of empathy is for you to physically, maybe by way of broadcast, by way of interview, or talk directly, look Nigerians in the face and address their problem, and not through surrogates. And that seems to be lacking in this administration. Why?
No, if you use the word surrogate, I disagree, because that person that was appointed was perceived to have been seen as a professional in his own field, and was appointed either as a spokesperson to the president or what have you, and it is their responsibility to give out praise. So when they do it, let's not say it's a surrogate or it must come from the president. If president continues to speak at every given point, then what is the responsibility of those appointed persons?
But sorry to come in, I'm coming to you. In the United States of America, we have a situation that the president does press briefing almost on a daily basis. The president himself, anytime there is, in fact, sometimes you even ask questions as to if he even has chance, to rest at home, because, he comes, talks to the press, in the next 2-3 days, they have arranged a press conference and all that. And I think, borrowing democracy from there, Nigerians expect it should be a practice here too, where you have the president interface with Nigerians on a regular basis.
I like it when you use the word borrowed. I see Nigeria is a developing economy, developing nation. With respect to time, we will get there. Right now, the country mentioned is well developed. At every point in time, a press conference can be held anywhere and everybody have access to it. If you do that in this country, Nigeria, how many persons will have access to such information? Because there are communities and interior places where we don't even have cell phone network as we speak. So the president is using the various arms or appointed personnel to reach out to Nigerians, and that reminds me or draw me back to the issue of the social investment scheme. Each time these things happens, in a way or two, remedies are given to ameliorate the sufferings of the people. It's not just about coming out to say, oh, my people, I see what happened, sorry about that. What has been put in place or done to remedy their pains after the persons must have left the scene. Okay. And that is what the present government is doing.
Ikake, now, you raised the issue of, corruption, and you asked this question, how many corrupt people have been, found culpable and punished in accordance with the law, if I got you right. But he says that the president is a Democrat. He does not want to behave like a military man who would just catch you committing or alleged to have committed a crime and he throws you behind bars and all of that. Isn't it excusable enough, to answer the questions you raised?
Okay, you see, we cannot accept a position to be true and then turn around to deny the implication. It is a given that there is corruption in Nigeria. Then comes the question, who are the corrupt? Because if there is corruption in Nigeria and we haven't been able to fish out those corrupt through the processes he has mentioned, the court processes, and they haven't been convicted, then the next question should be, is there really corruption? Because if there is corruption, it means there are corrupt people. And if there are corrupt people, it means they have to be fished out. You know, there has to be conviction. We need to see people in jail, in prison, as a proof that these are the corrupt people who makes this nation to be rated as one of the most corrupt nations in the world. But we haven't seen that. We've seen a situation where a leader in APC would come out even on national TV and during rallies back then in 2019 and say, cross over to APC and your sins would be forgiven. We've seen people who had cases already that EFCC were pursuing, but by crossing over to the other side, that case dies down. And we still accept that there is corruption, which means there are corrupt people. So my question to APC or to my brother is, who are the corrupt people?
But a couple of times, even the president himself, who a lot of Nigerians believe means well for the country, has told anyone who cares to listen that when somebody has been fingered to do something wrong, and maybe his case is transferred to the EFCC, and then the EFCC takes the matter up and maybe files a charge against him in court and all that. Because the person has a lot of money, he goes for the very best lawyers who know the windows to maneuver some court processes, and sometimes the case will stay for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, and as a result of that, in fact, in the process, it will be found that the prosecuting counsel, which is the EFCC lawyers in this case, has not been able to prove a case to actually send the person to. So do you still blame the president that a court process has, undergone those kinds of issues? And of course, it is not in the place of the president to step into the court and tell somebody, jail him.
Oh, yes, you see, leadership has a lot of responsibility. And in my philosophy of leadership, it is to get the job done no matter what. So you must not, and you shouldn't, a leader should not give excuses. So now, thank God that you've brought this up.
But what about excuses that are excusable enough? For instance, you meet a very solid brick wall and you cannot pass. What do you do in that kind of circumstance?
Maybe the way APC government is tackling corruption is not the best model. So because I was really hoping that fighting corruption has to be systemic. It has to be institutional. If you keep pursuing the symptoms without hitting at the problem, without hitting at the root cause, which is the loopholes that exist within our governance framework, okay, those loopholes supposed to be closed. That's when we talk about building solid institutions that is powerful than the people inside it. When we have powerful men who are more powerful than the institution, than the system, then you cannot do anything, because they will use their connects, their powers, just like you said, their money to do anything they want to do and go away with it. But when you have institutions, solid institutions that can hold people accountable, then you may as well be on your way to fighting corruption, because you must have blocked loopholes within the system. And I've not seen APC government do that. And as such, we cannot reinforce that government on Nigerians, because like I said, Nigerians are threatened at the possibility of another APC-led government, given the statistics in the past as it borders economy. Dollar to naira today is at 7 something. as it border, security. There is still insecurity that have scattered into other parts of the country beyond where it started from. And then today, fuel, at the filling station, you can get it at 250. We cannot continue like that. We are threatened. In fact, the level of the economic decay is a security threat.
Okay, let me come back to you now. Your 80-page document that was unveiled by your presidential candidate, that document has received a lot of commendations by Nigerians who have gone through them, and they believe that if this policy document is actually implemented, Nigeria will move from where it is currently to where it is supposed to be, because a lot of very fantastic ideas have been put there. But, a lot of Nigerians are asking questions like, how sincere will the new leader be in translating these ideas from the paper form that it is to a workable a scope in such a way that it will transform the economy? Because they believe that manifestos have been there ever since politicians, want to be doing something. They want to go to, so they will print papers and write a lot of things that they don't follow when they have the opportunity. So how will Nigerians believe that your candidate will follow very, very closely the policy he has thrown up?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mike. I say one thing that 2023 would put on the table is that Nigerians are so wise now and will not give their vote to anybody that they don't trust. Okay? Like you rightly said, this document is an all-inclusive, painstakingly produced to meet the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians.
How we sure to implement it?
Across all sectors. The records are there. The man who is championing the cause has the political will to implement. The records are there to show for it. He has done it before and he will do it. He has the technical know-how. He has the idea of the team of persons he will bring in across party lines, across professional fields to make sure that these things are being implemented. And we trust him and we believe that these plans are not just there for rhetorics or for academic exercise. They are going to be fully implemented. And I tell you that the Nigerian ahead of us with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a Nigeria that is full of hope for all Nigerians.
There is this argument about his health, about his age. So many people are saying that his age is shrouded in controversy. So as a result of that, they don't believe that he is the age that he has put on paper. And they're asking questions, following the antecedents of the current president who frequently travels for medical checks. So Nigerians are looking at a president who will not have a repeat of what we currently face as a country. So no matter how good your presidential candidate may be, no matter the policy document that is very fantastic and all that, do you think that he has the advantage to be the president, going by the fact that Nigerians don't see his age to be the kind of age that will give him the energy to address the very peculiar problems of this country, going by how complex Nigeria's problem is?
Well, two issues you raised are of critical importance. Number one is the issue of health. You see, issues of a man's health are private issues. You could be looking at someone that is very, very sick, as a matter of fact, and before you hear it, either accident or something else can take someone that is very healthy. So I don't want to dive into issue of health. But I want to say that our presidential candidate, you see, the Nigerian constitutions and the legal framework for the election did not restrict him with respect to age as per. When you are of this particular age, you shouldn't aspire. So it is open, and so that makes it much more better for us. We want to exploit from a man who is satisfied, who has the experience, who have seen it all. How many times has he traveled outside this country in search of a greener pasture or for health grounds? He has always been here. And I want to assure us and Nigerians and my fellow youth out there that our presidential candidate will not be traveling often. From the from the document presented, a proper arrangement has been made to activate or reactivate our health system to make it so effective to reduce the high level of travels by our leaders outside other countries for search of health, whatever. Those things will be here.
All right, Ika,
maybe
this is going to be the last chance because we will be rounding off in just a moment. You've heard what he said about age and all of that, but then I know that in your camp, maybe perhaps that is the more reason you have younger people showing the kind of massive support they show, because they believe that your presidential candidate is a much more younger and strong human being and all of that. But beyond the issue of age, a lot of people have argued that your presidential candidate is not as saintly as he is trying to portray, because he is part of the old order. For instance, he has been a governor in this state, in the state of Anambra in this country for 8 years. And of course, he has been a vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar before. And of course, there were a lot of issues bordering on vote buying and payment of dollars to delegates during primaries. And he was a part of that team, and he never saw anything wrong with it. So a lot of people believe that it would be misinformation for him to now claim not to be part of the people who constitutes the problems that we've had in this country in the past.
Okay, thank you so much. Our principal, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi, have been moving from state to state. He has even engaged the diaspora in the past few months and weeks, and have declared the things he wants to do, the things he has done in the past, and nobody, not institution, not individual, have been able to come up with any document so far to allege that he is corrupt, or while he was in government, he mismanaged the funds, the public funds, or he did anything that pointed to corruption. Nobody has done that. We haven't seen such far. So on that basis, every other noise that surrounds such claim is dismissed.
But is it not a statement of fact that he belongs to the old order? The old order means, the array of politicians who are currently holding sway and who a lot of Nigerians claim are the cause of the decay that we have in this country. Remember, he recently moved from the People's Democratic Party to the Labour Party. Until he moved, was it not part of that system?
Maybe we are having the problem of semantics here. When you said he belonged to the old order, I would disagree. I would rather say that he found himself previously in the old order and decided to migrate.
When did he find himself there, having been a governor since?
That's what I'm saying. You can be in a situation where change is not something that is instantaneous. It has to function by way of subliminal infiltration.
There are a lot of concerns he has raised, a lot of revelations he has raised, a lot of doubt he has cast on the current leadership of this country. But why was he not speaking up when he was in the People's Democratic Party?
He has been speaking up, but Nigerians were not hearing. Because there is a way you are in a particular system and you are trying to pass a certain information, but people don't understand the information you are trying to pass. If somebody was a governor, rather, and in a country where people are looting public funds, he's not looting. He's doing things. He's engaging with the people. He's investing in education and all of that. And other governors perhaps are not. People should be looking at, why is this one doing this and this one? There are sometimes you speak by acting, but it will take the discerning to understand what you're saying, even when you're not uttering any word.
All right. Well, I think it's a very fine place to leave it for today, and we will always be engaging you, gentlemen. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I'd like to just
in 30 seconds.
Just to draw the attention of my young friend here, my brother, to the fact that sincerely, his candidate belonged to the old order. Okay, for the period of 8 years, he threw himself up to be elected.
But he says he does not belong.
I'm drawing attention to that. And for the period of 8 years, he threw himself up to be elected, was elected the governor, and for that 8 years, the third tier of government which is local government ward.
Okay, maybe we'll have another time to expand on it. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Honorable Michael Jaja, APC House of Assembly candidate for Akwa Ibom State, and of course Ika Kebas, a very fine gentleman, head of strategy and digital communications of the Labour Party. We thank you very much and looking forward to see you both maybe next week or so.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Yes,
all right, so we've come to the end of the program. See you tomorrow.